Hey y'all, so in this video I'm going to be exploring variations on this bail that we made in a live stream the other day ago, which will be linked in a card as well as down in the video description. Now here I had used 20 gauge wire because that's just what we were using, but today I'm going to be using 18 gauge. Now you could use 18 or 20 gauge or even 16 gauge, and I am using parawire. Now this is going to be, I'm using 26 gauge to do the weaving, and I'm doing a different color, that way hopefully it'll be a lot more apparent on the screen. You'll be able to see the differences. But I get all of my wire from parawire.com, and you could use, like I had said, 20 gauge, 18 gauge, or 16 gauge for the core wire. And then I'd recommend anywhere from a 24, 26, or 28 gauge for the coiling and weaving wire. And to do this, I'm gonna pull off about, there's one arm span, there's two arm spans, so around 10 feet of this 26 gauge wire. And I'm just gonna snip that, and then I'm going to find the center point by lining up the ends. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then there's our center point, and I'm just going to lay this across my lap and we will come back to it. So we're going to want to start with, ideally I had wanted to make like a bracelet to prototype what I would eventually do as the like necklace bar for this pendant. We're going to start with around a 20-inch length of the 18 gauge, and I'm going to use my stepped mandrel pliers or bail making pliers. All the tools and materials will be linked down in the video description below. My handle's kind of I'll worry about that later. So I'm going to use the the smallest size on my ring mandrel, or my these things. Words are hard today, y'all, bear with me. And just because I feel like it, I'm gonna have the right side be on top. And so for this first twist, I'm just leaving it a hollow loop. There's not going to be any bead in it, and I'm just doing what I call a twist tie twist. So there's once and twice. That makes it nice and stable. And so this will be where rings would attach to. So we're gonna make like it's kind of like a wire wrapped link, and we'll just see how far it gets us. So I'm going to be using these lolly beads in the 4mm, and then I think it's like a 2.5mm or 2mm bead. I get these beads on Amazon, and I think they do a great job, all things considered. I'm gonna go ahead and just dump some of them out into the container and then seal up the rest of the bag. And just set that off to the side. And so now we are going to, the first bead that we pick up is going to be a 4mm. And I don't know if this is my favorite way of starting it off yet. I mean, I would have loved to have been able to just do one twist, but this is a little experimental for me. I mean, this is only the second time I've made this, so, but I wanted to share that the thought process and the troubleshooting and problem solving that I feel like is so helpful to me when I'm learning something new. Let me go ahead and get some. The pliers that I have on hand are my typical flat nose, bent nose, round nose, I have two variations of the round nose, and then I have two variations of the flat nose. But really, so long as you have something in that plier family of flat nose, bent nose, and round nose, and then some wire snips, you'll get where you're going. So I'm just going to hold that 4mm bead that's threaded onto our weaving wire, which is our thin wire, in this case 26 gauge, but 2, 3 wraps, 4 and 5, and then we'll give it a little bit of a squishy smush just to get all those coils right next to each other. And so when we were making this originally, you can see back here That's where I did the frame that rests in the groove that's been cut into the side of the cabochon, and then we did 3 twists and started off into our first bead with our coiling wire traveling through that bead and joining 5 coils on each side. So that's what we're doing today. I'm just starting it off exactly the same as though we were making, but for making a bracelet instead of a bail. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now from here, I would like to be consistent about having, if I hold this in my left hand, I want the bottom wire to cross over on top of the top wire each time. There we go. My coiling's a little wonky, but as we get into it, it will start to balance out. And I'm thinking this might actually be easier with the 20 gauge. I thought it would be more difficult to get it to hold its shape and stuff, but here I'm having to kind of fight with the wire a little. So don't hesitate to use different, materials other than what I am here. And then we're gonna do a twist. And if I can be consistent about the angle that I'm doing my twists at, then I feel like I get better, more consistent results. Especially over the long term, like the full length of the bracelet. Being consistent about that angle will really be helpful. And so now, before moving to the next stage, like the next repeat of the pattern, I'm going to find the end of my wire. If I were better at planning ahead, I'd have had something to clamp this down to so it's not just running all over my desk. And we're gonna slide that bead all the way down our wire. And it's gonna come to rest right there. And you can see if it exited on the front side, like the side that we're looking at, this is the front side, this is the back side. It's exiting the front side, so I'm going to come around on the back side to have it be figure 8'd, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to give that a little bit of a squish. And you don't have to use these lolly beads, you guys. You could use like a gemstone and a size 11 seed bead. I'm really interested to see all the different variations that y'all can make of this. Sorry, I'm holding my project down so it's not running away on me. I hope you won't be having as much trouble with your project because I'm trying to stay in frame. Emphasis on trying. Okay, so I'm gonna have that wire exit off to that side, and then this wire is gonna come up here like this, and we're gonna go underneath, same as before. And 1, whoop, hitting the tripod, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, the very best news, I think, about this project is it is nothing if not repetitive. So what we've just done right here is the full, that's what we're going to be repeating for the full length of the, whether you're making just 3 links long to have it be part of kind of as a necklace, just as a decorative piece. Because we could totally, you guys, we could go from 4mm to having a 6mm bead and then back down to 4mm. I can't wait to explore all the different variations of this. But before we get carried away, let's just focus on getting this variation. So now I've threaded on a 4mm bead and I'm bringing it down so that it sits like that. And then we're going to come through with the wire from the other side to thread around. And this can be a little bit cumbersome just because our wire is so long, and so it can have an inclination to just snaggle on everything. So watch out for that. And then also it may want to kink. And so I like to pull the bead out away from where it's going to end up just a little, just enough for us to start getting that wire pulled down nice and tight. There we go. And we can actually go ahead and start shaping. Let's not forget, if I'm holding the starting loop in my left hand, the wire that's closest to me is our bottom wire, and I'm going to have that cross in front of our top wire. And now that those wires are in position, I can get my coiling wires all settled into place to prepare for going 5 coils on each side, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then on this side, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm trying to make sure that where these wires are crossing over each other lines up with the center line of the rest of the bracelet. And then we're going to go twist. I'm trying to maintain that angle, and if I press really far away, I'm not going to have as much control as if I'm pressing up close. And I try to have my fingers applying pressure about 1/4 of an inch away from where I want my twist to be happening. Okay, and now we repeat. Let's add those little side beads. There's one on this side. We'll just do one at a time. And then we're going to figure 8 this. So the wire's traveling up from behind. So we're going to come around to the front. And we're going to go, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go ahead and slide on that 4mm bead. There we go. And now, I don't know if I should have done that 4mm bead yet, but we'll find out. Threading on our small bead. And don't hesitate to go ahead and like flip your work too, if that's helpful to you. Just because I hold my work the way that I do doesn't mean that's the only way. Did I thread a bead on this? Yes, I did. Okay. And here it comes. Come on, bead. Sliding on down. There we go. So again, making sure to figure 8. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and thread that wire through. Making sure that I'm doing my best to avoid any kinking in the wire as we pull it through. There we go. Pulling things kind of nice and snug, and I do like to have my wires exiting on the same side of the project. So in this case, on this step, it's the back side. And so again, making sure that the bottom wire is crossing on top. But do you see how this is just a nice, like, repeatable pattern. Like, I'm totally digging it. And I bet we could do like little, like, you could do more than just one bead. Endless variation. And I love designs that are like that. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then it's really easy sometimes for me to get really frazzled with a project whenever it's like I'm all tangled up on the wire and on the tripod and it's like snagging every little thing. Just take a deep breath. Don't be afraid to set the project down and step away from it. You know, go do something else for a little bit. Sometimes a change of gears can be exactly what the doctor ordered. Okay. But also sometimes I just power through it and, you know, find my way back around to enjoying it again. You know, if I'm getting a little frustrated, that's okay. Sometimes things are frustrating, but we are resilient and we are good at doing difficult and frustrating things. And so if this is your first time doing this or 100th time doing this, don't fret too much on getting every single little fine detail perfect. We're practicing right now, so you know, don't hesitate to experiment. If you get a kink in your wire, it's not the end of the world. So just practice on improving as we go along the length of this project. And so just coming around, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then grabbing another bead, sliding it on down. And I'm exiting from the front, so I'm going to come around from behind. That way it figure eights that wire. And what I mean by that is it's just, you know, it's not just looping, it's doing that figure 8. I hope that makes sense. But once we get on there, it's looping. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to thread on a 4mm bead. And then we're going to come through with the wire from the other side. Trying to make sure that I'm not tangled or on the wrong side of my core wires. Oh, now that's the smoothest that's gone for me so far. And then I'm just gonna go like that. Make sure the wires are on the same side. And then we're gonna do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on this side, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Give it the old squishy smush. And just shape it where, again, the bottom wire is going over the top wire. I do like to go ahead and make sure that these thinner wires are out of the way when we do our twist tie twist. Which again, just you can kind of check from the end to make sure that you're going to be crossing in the center line. And then whoop. And that is how that's looking. Now personally, I would have preferred to have done the weaving, like the coiling wire, with copper, because I think it makes it, like here I used vintage bronze for both the core and the coiling wire, and I used 20 gauge and 28 gauge. So, but the technique remains the same. So even though if this isn't your favorite color combination, you can still use this technique to experiment with your favorite color combination, which I'd love to hear what your favorite color combo on this is down in the comments. Partially just out of curiosity, but also I get so stuck in my own ruts of like my favorite colors that I forget to branch out and experiment. So I'm going to try some of y'all's favorite color combinations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some mush. And then, and this will be the last one that we do before I'm going to, through the magic of editing, meet you back here whenever we get to a full bracelet length. That way, you know, for the sake of time. 2, 3, 4, 5. But that way I can show you how to finish the end, very similar to how we would be doing in our other bangle bracelet tutorials. So I will meet you guys back here when we have about 7 inches, 7.5 inches of design woven. Okay, so this is the second time that I've done this, and so I wanted to show you how I recover from it. So I'm chugging right along, just watching some YouTube videos about gardening, and I forgot to do my twist there. Well, you know, sometimes we just have to pull out some stitches, and so to do that, what I'm gonna do is, this is where I really like to use my bent nose pliers, and I'm gonna isolate, there we go, one of these wires and pull it out. Foomp, foomp, foomp. Oop, bumping the tripod again. Oh my god, my dog just farted. Oh well, welcome to my home. And now I'm gonna undo those coils. Whoop. I don't need to slide the bead off. I just need to undo the coils. And now we're gonna do the twist, the little twist tie twist that I had forgotten about. Whoop. So there's that. Well, hey, pretty kitty. And then we're gonna come around. I like to use my thumbnail to just kind of whoop, straighten it out a little. It doesn't need to be perfect. But then we're going to go and redo our coils, just like so. And then, whoop, and we'll redo the coils on this side as well. Give it a smush down. And so, once we have, you know, our bead strung back on, which we can go ahead and do, but once we move along in this pattern, it's not going to be obvious that there was a mistake there. So don't be afraid to, you know, if something's messed up or, you know, isn't as consistent as you would like it, don't be afraid to, you know, try again. And even if every single thing that could possibly go wrong goes wrong 2 or 3 times on this project, if you go ahead and take the time to learn how to fix it, it's almost like it'll make the project a sacrificial project. So it might be really chewed up and jank by the time we're finished, but there's no wasted time and no wasted material and efforts when we're learning. So go ahead and give yourself some grace to, you know, to be less than perfect, but go ahead and, you know, be adventurous and learn not just how to kind of goober things up, but how to ungoober the things. Okay, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you don't have to have it figured out. Just learning anything is so useful. You know, any little bit of, oh, well, that's how it worked out when I did it this time. Maybe it'll be the same or different next time. We'll try it again then too. So doing those coils, coming around town, making sure to do, I'm just gonna do a few more repetitions of this until we are up to the length that I would like. I think I would have liked to have made a larger loop, but I'm not super stressed about it. And but that may be something that in future projects, especially for making a bracelet, well, that's good to know. So we have come now to the end. I had about 3 feet of extra wire cumulatively. So, but I'd always rather have a little bit extra than not enough. And this is not going to go to waste. This is long enough that I can use it to do like a woven bail or something on some other pendant, or I keep the wire off to the side, and that's the wire that I access first before cutting more off of the spools. So we've trimmed those ends. I'm gonna go ahead and give them a little bit of a smoosh just to make sure that there's no little pokey bits. And now from here, I'm going to use the same loop end of my pliers as what we started it on. Just shaping around. There's one side. And then with the other loop, actually, I think just to have it be a little bit more minimal, like we could just do one, but I'm going to do both to start with. So, do you see how that's 2 layers of wire? And with this 18 gauge especially, it's robust enough that we can just fold that over. And I'm going to come in and snip and snip, and then we will use our bent nose pliers to give that a nice solid little squish, and test with our finger, no pokey bits. And so from here we can use a jump ring to attach a lobster claw clasp. Now, before I do that, I'm going to shape this around. I like to use, this is like 2 inches wide. They're just bead containers, and I lost the lid, but an empty container is just another lid. But you could use, I mean, like a hairspray bottle or a pesto jar, or, you know, just whatever you can find that's in the right shape. Cans of tomato paste work really well also. And I'm just going to shape that around, and you can see it has a little bit of spring back. It doesn't stay exactly that size as what we shaped it around, but that's okay. And I'm going to choose to use the jump ring to attach to the end that has 2 loops. That way we can hook through very easily on this side. And usually on bracelets, I like to give them just a little bit of an oval shaping, just so that they fit on my arm a little more easily at least. So from here, and I will have these linked down below, these are I think 9 by 14 millimeter stainless steel. I might be off on the measurements off the top of my head, but they are stainless steel lobster claw clasps. These are my favorite to use for everything because they are easy for me to work with. The ones that are too small, I just they're too fiddly. So that's all right. And I have lost my jump rings. I'll be right back. Whoop. Okay, I found them. I'm going to pull out 3 just to show you. Boom, boom, boom. You don't have to do it this way. This is just the way I feel like doing it right now. So these are 18 gauge 1/8 inch aluminum jump rings. You could make some of your own if you want, using the same 18 gauge wire. So I've just joined one little jump ring on there, and this is going to orient the clasp to where it lines up without being fiddly. And now I'm going to use these two other rings to join together there. And whenever I'm opening a jump ring, I like to open whoop, like that, so the ends stay lined up, as opposed to opening it like bah, because then we get a brittle part right there, and it's very difficult, for me at least, to get it to be nice and round again. And then I'm going to hook through right there, and I'm going to hook through right there. By hooking the clasp onto the project, it helps me to make sure that it's just aligned the way that I want. There's one and two. And I just love the mixed metal tones on this piece. I still think my preference would have been to have done the coiling with the antique copper, but I don't mind this a bit. So there is our bead and wire wrapped bracelet. You can do a lobster claw style like this, or I'm sure that you can watch our other wire wrapped bangle tutorials and figure out, you know, you're crafty and clever. You can figure out how to adapt this style of hook and eye clasp to this style of bracelet. I probably would have done it by doing a larger loop initially, and then yeah, we could have attached just a different style of clasp. So I hope that this was helpful to you guys though, and thank you guys so much for joining me in this tutorial. I do hope that it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave them down below. If you enjoy our free tutorials and would like to support the creation of more of them, like, share, subscribe. More than anything, just keep crafting and watching. We do new tutorials every Thursday. Currently we do shop updates every Monday and live streams on Friday, but you can find up-to-date calendar of events at our website, backtoearthcreations.com. And you can also join our Happy Crafter Club, where we send out monthly kits with guided projects using the same materials that we use in our own craft room, so the parawire as well as our homemade fused glass beads. Well, sometimes it's lampwork glass beads, sometimes it's fused glass cabochons. It's always something a little different though. We like to keep it fun. So yeah, I think that's everything, but thank you guys so much again for being here, and until next time, happy crafting.